What up YouTube, I'm back. So that was some good stuff, man. That was one of the best episodes of this arc because of all the backstory that we got. So let's get right to it, man. So at the end of last week's episode, Kinemon told the Straw Hats that they came from 20 years in the past, which is crazy, and we're going to talk about how they came from 20 years in the past to the present later in this review, because this obviously is a really important part. But before we talk about the time travel stuff, we need to talk about the backstory that we got from Kinemon, Momonosuke and all these guys, because it's really important for the Wano arc, because we're in Wano right now and we need to know some of the stories, some of the past of Wano. So it was pretty good, I'll say that. We got to see Momonosuke's dad, Lord Oden, in the flashbacks, and he doesn't look anything like Momonosuke, at least from what we've seen, because the way that they designed his character, they put a lot of shading on him so that we couldn't really see his face like that. So I'm wondering if they're doing that because we're going to see him more in the future of this arc. That's going to be really interesting. So from what we learned about Lord Oden is that he wasn't that guy that followed all the rules. He wasn't that goody two shoes, even though he was the son of the emperor, he wasn't like that. But what he was is he was a good person. He was adventurous, but he was a good person. But because he wasn't following the rules, his dad banned him from the flower capital. So the flower capital is basically the capital where in the poster for the Wano arc, that's the flower capital, so that's kind of interesting. He was banned from the capital by his father, which is kind of crazy, and he went to a land in Wano that was called Kuri. So the land of Kuri in Wano is where the Oden castle, aka the Kuri castle, is. So he went there and there was a lot of mischief. All the people that were banned from other regions in Wano went there, and what Oden did is he basically took that land and made it his, and there was order in this land. He created rivers, houses, the food paradise that there is in Wano. He's the one that created it, so he did all of that. So he was a really good person, and because of him, the land of Kuri there was better when he went there. By the way, Oden's father named him the daimyo of Kuri, so that was great. But just look how beautiful it looks. We're going to compare how it looked then and how it looks in the present, because there's a huge difference. But something that I want to say is that I was surprised that Luffy was actually listening to the story, because we know that Luffy doesn't really care about the past like that. We know that when Nami's sister was telling the story to the Strats years ago about Nami's past when she was a kid, Luffy fell asleep. He didn't really care like that. And then in the Fishman Island, when they were talking about the story of Shiraoshi's mother and how she died and everything that happened to them, the racism and everything like that, he was asleep. So I was surprised that he actually stayed awake and listened to the story. In the flashbacks, we actually saw Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, which was kind of crazy as kids though, so that was kind of cool. And we saw the relationship between them and Lord Oden, and they actually called him their master, so now we know why there's that link and that alliance between the Minx tribe and the samurais. That's because of Lord Oden and how he treated them. He didn't treat them like they were something else. They treated them like they were part of his family, because when they arrived on Wano, some of the people wasn't treating them right. Just because they're different doesn't mean that they're not people, but yeah, that was kind of cool of him. And now we know the links between the Ming tribe and the samurais. Another thing that I really liked about Luffy in this week's episode is that he was really mad, man, because of Kaido and Orochi and what they did to the land of Wano and the Kozuki family, Oden and everything like that. He was really mad, so I'm glad because that's extra motivation for him to defeat Kaido and Orochi, because we already know that Luffy wants to become the king of the pirates, but for him to do that, one of the things that he has to do is defeat some of the Yonkos. You know, he already went into Big Mom's territory. Now he's in Kaido's territories, you know, so he has even bigger motivation to defeat Kaido. So I really like that about this week's episode. Now we're gonna talk about something that happened at the end of the episode, because that was really interesting. Once again, at the end of the episode, there was something that happened that was crazy, and what happened was with Momonosuke's mother, and we're going to talk about that before Momonosuke's family, because we know that Oden was his father, we know that he has a sister, and that he had a mother, but her mother came from the past, even further than 20 years in the past, where Momonosuke is from. So that's kind of crazy. We don't know where she's actually from, what time she's from. Maybe she knows what happened in the 100-year void, you know. So his mother is pretty important, you know, so we'll see if maybe one day we'll see her again, because that's really important to know, you know. She comes from the past, we don't know when exactly, but she said that she has the time fruit, I think, and she can go into the past, or not the past. I think she can only go into the future, so that's kind of interesting. They can't go back to the past. So yeah, that was interesting. And Momonosuke has a sister. His sister, I don't know if she's actually alive, because she stayed with her mother for a reason that I don't know. Maybe she was dead because of the smoke that went into her lungs, I don't know. Or maybe his sister is Okiku, you know. Okiku wasn't there when they went from the past to the present for a reason, I don't know. Maybe she's from the present, but maybe she's actually Momonosuke's sister who grew up, you know. Maybe we'll learn about that later in this arc, but that was quite interesting. But yeah, the big things was Momonosuke's mother came from the past, and she can use the time fruit, but she can only go to the future. And he has a sister that we don't know if she died or not. And now, you know, like I said earlier, we're going to compare, you know, the Kuri village to what it was to what it is now. So this is a shot of what the Kuri village looks now. It looks disgusting because of all the factories that we can see. It's polluting this land a lot, and that's because of Kaido and Orochi. And we saw earlier in the review how it looked when Oden, you know, created the village. It looked beautiful. So that's kind of crazy that Kaido and Orochi did all of that in 20 years, man. That's crazy. But yeah, man, it was a nice backstory. I liked what we learned, and I think they could have gone further with the Oden and Roger thing, because they said that Roger really liked Oden for a reason. So I guess that maybe they're gonna talk about that later in the arc. But yeah, man, it was a great backstory. I really liked it. I really liked how it was told, and hopefully we'll know more about Momonosuke's sister, you know, because I think that she may be still alive. But let me know what you thought about this week's episode in the comments down below. Let me know what you think is gonna happen next. I can't wait for next week's episode. The Wano arc has been really good so far. It's been too good, man. It's been really good. So I can't wait for what's coming next. Yeah. I do One Piece reviews every Saturday, so subscribe for that. But I also do other anime related things like Black Clover reviews on Tuesdays, Dr. Stone reviews on Fridays, and then I do Boku no Hero Academia Season 4 reviews early in the morning on Saturdays. And then I do Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld later that day at noon, and later at night I do, like I said, One Piece review, so stay tuned for all of that. I also do Boruto Naruto Next Generation reviews on Sundays. Usually I didn't do the last 2 episodes, but it's coming back tomorrow, so stay tuned for all of that, man. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, man, follow me at Anime Specialist on Twitter and Instagram, and like, comment, subscribe. It would help my channel a lot. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Anime Specialist out. Peace.